Hi everyone, this is my first haul of the year and I'm so excited because your gal got a Waterstones gift card for Christmas. Yes, she did. So this is a load of books that I've bought. Today I bought a load and I sort of around Christmas picked up some books that I wanted to read at the beginning of the year. So I'm just going to show you all of them. Let's go. The last one went down really well. I love a haul, I love a book haul. Now I will say I don't do this too often. This is sort of all the books over the past couple months that I've picked up, and I did have a big one today. But like I said, I had a gift card and I also don't have many books on my physical TBR, or at least I didn't before I did the shop today. Some of these I've read already, but I'll tell you as we go. So let's start with what I picked up, can't even speak, picked up in Waterstones today. Now I had a £50 gift card, so that's about 5 to 6 books, which is what I picked up. There were some that I really wanted to get that weren't in there, which was kind of annoying. So a couple of the books weren't like really high on my TBR that I wanted to buy, but they were still there. I still did want to buy them, if that makes sense. So these are the books that I bought today. We're gonna go straight in. First off, I had the Cursed Crowns. So this is the second book in the Twin Crowns series. There's also a third book as well, but I haven't bought that yet because I read the first one, I really enjoyed it, and I was like, right, I do want to read the second one. It's a sort of series where I really enjoyed the book, but I wasn't necessarily like absolutely on the edge for the next one sort of thing. I read it before Christmas, I went through Christmas, New Year's, all that, and wasn't that bothered about getting the next one, but knew that I would at some point, because the premise of Twin Crowns is essentially these two sisters. They're both royal blood, heirs to the kingdom, but one of them was sent away and is a rebel against it. Okay, so it's kind of like, it's not enemies to lovers, but like, I don't know what else it would be. Enemies back to sisters, you know, sisters that are enemies, and you kind of work out, are they going to end up, is it all going to end up okay? Are they going to be friendly family sisters again? I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, it could go one of two ways. Either both sisters will end up joining the rebellion and overthrowing the kingdom completely and changing it all up, or is one of the sisters going to end up actually just being the heir with the other one? I don't know. I really don't know. I can't remember exactly how the last one ended, so I will need to read the last few chapters of that first one. But what I loved about this series was that it's a fantasy, but it's a royal fantasy. And I love a fantasy that is set in a royal setting, set in a royal setting, or set in a court, okay? And this was very royal political. When I say like political fantasy, I like a royal political fantasy, you know, like who's going to take over the kingdom, that sort of thing. And that very much happened in the first one, and it's written in both POVs of the two sisters. It alternates between them, which is also good because sometimes you can get too many POVs of one and not enough of the other, but it goes between them both. Yes, the sister who is the princess is very annoying and insufferable, but she's supposed to be, because she's like this, you know, she's this princess that has basically had everything she's ever wanted, compared to the other princess who has fought for herself, so she's a lot stronger. And so although it's hard to read some of her chapters at times, I can totally see where they've done it, and it's not a criticism at all. It's just something that's slightly annoying, but it makes sense. It is a YA, like it's nothing crazy, it's not a crazy fantasy, but it's just fun. And like I said, it has the elements that I love in a romantasy fantasy. Like it's got 2 romance subplots as well, obviously with either of them. And it's got that court atmosphere, which I just really love. You know, I love a fantasy when it's set in like medieval times, because I'm a history gal deep down, so I love things like that, where it's set in a court where it feels older. I think this isn't like particularly medieval or anything, but anyway. This one isn't YA, but it feels it. This is Assistant to the Villain. Everyone was talking about this in sort of October, November time last year, but I just had too many other stuff on my TBR, I didn't pick it up, but now I am. It's just kind of a funny fantasy romance, and I think there's another book as well after it. It's quite short, it's only like 200 pages. So, with her ailing father and youngest sister to support, Evie's employment status isn't just important, it's vital. So when a mishap with Renaudon's most infamous villain results in a job offer, naturally she says yes. And I think basically she obviously finds this scary man, this villain, very hot. So I can see where it's going to go quite easily, but again, it's just a fun like read. Perfect, ideal. I feel like in January especially, I want books that kind of just, I don't have to think too deeply about, because I'm in, you know, when you're just sort of in a Like it's a tiring, it's a boring, it's a kind of a shit month, I find, and I normally feel a bit shit in January, so I like a book to just escape into that I don't have to analyse too much. This wasn't on my TBR, but I did end up picking it up. I don't like picking up books that I haven't already looked into before, because as much as it's fun to do that, I don't, because it might be on Kindle Unlimited, I might be able to find it cheaper elsewhere, I want to read the reviews, blah blah blah, I don't know, but I wanted to use my money, and this did look and sound really good and right up my street. So this is So Thirsty by Rachel Harrison. Sloane Parker is dreading her birthday. She doesn't need a reminder she's getting older or that she's feeling different about her own life. Her husband surprises her with a weekend getaway, not with him, but with Sloane's longtime best friend. Sloane anticipates a weekend of wine tastings and cozy robes and strategic avoidance of issues she'd rather not confront. But when they arrive at their rental cottage, Naomi has something else in her mind. She orchestrates a wild night out with a group of mysterious strangers, only for it to take a horrifying turn that changes Sloane's and Naomi's lives literally forever. So I like the fact that we've got two friends as the sort of female main characters. Getting the impression, I'm just guessing, that it's obviously about vampires, presumably, and that perhaps these people that she meets, that they meet on a night out, are vampires and they get sucked into their world. It's giving very Vampire Diaries. I also just love this cover. It's fairly short. It's like under 300 pages. So again, this is another short one that won't take that long to read. But it just really excited me that I'm a sucker for a vampire-y book. However, they can be very hard to get right and not get too cringy. However, this doesn't seem very YA at all. It seems very new adult. So that I'm hoping that helps it be good. Then I picked up The Hurricane Wars. This is another one that's been on my TBR for ages. I think this is a gorgeous cover. I can't tell if this is printed wrong because there's only one of these copies on the shelf, but there's this bit here. But what this is a little ship, and it slowly disappears off of the page. I'm presuming that is part of the design, but it just looks kind of random from that side. But yeah, I'm presuming that is part of it. But if you can, let me know, because there's no ship anywhere else. I guess I'm gonna have to read it and see if there's context to that. Okay. All Taliesin has ever known are the Hurricane Wars. She uses the power of light to fight for her people against the Night Empire. So I love that, we've got two different sides. All Alaric has ever known is darkness. He wields terrifying shadow magic to crush those who stand in his way. But the moment Taliesin and Alaric clash, their lives are changed forever. So again, enemies to lovers. I mean, there's themes going here, you can tell the tropes and the things that I like. Very excited for that one. Now, one that is incredibly popular all across the internet, but I have kind of been warned against, but then I thought, you know what, I see it there every time. I've got the gift card, so if I really hate it, I don't feel guilty that I've spent money on it. The Poppy War. The only thing I've really heard about this is that it's really sad and heartbreaking and emotional and crazy. It is obviously a longer series, so we will see if I get into it. R.F. Kuang has done a lot of great books, really famous books. Yeah, this I'm scared and excited for. I've only ever heard people say how much they love it, but also how much it destroyed them. So I think I'm going to schedule this for a time when I'm in a frame of mind to be able to handle it. 'Cause sometimes, if you're having like maybe a slight tough time in your personal life, or you're just feeling a bit out of sorts or whatever, reading a book that's really dark and miserable does not help. And that's not even just books as well. Like if I watch a TV show that's really depressing, I will feel depressed for a while after I finish consuming that content. So anyway, when Rin aced for Keju, the test to find the most talented students in the Nakara Empire, it was a shock to everyone. That she got into Sinigard, the most elite military school in the Khan, was even more surprising. So this is more of science fiction, I think, than it is fantasy. But surprises aren't always good, because being a dark-skinned peasant girl from the south is not an easy thing at Sinigard. Fighting the prejudice of rival classmates, Rin discovers that she possesses a lethal, unearthly power, an aptitude for the nearly mythical art of shamanism. Oh, okay. Her gift with the help of a seemingly insane teacher, Rin learns that gods long thought dead are very much alive, and that mastering these powers could mean more than just surviving school. So there's a lot of politics in this one. I believe is this inspired by Chinese? Oh yeah, parallels with modern Chinese history resonate deeply and darkly in this. Okay, so yeah, it's going to be an emotional ride, but this is great because those previous few books that I talked about are a lot lighter, okay? They're not as heavy as this, they're not as deep, they're not as, whether this is definitely, I love a proper political fantasy. Okay, so I'm saving this for that. Speaking of fantasies that are more fleshed out and are more of a fantasy than a romantasy, we have The Witcher. Now, yes, I have read the whole Witcher series. However, it's such a long series and there's so much that happens in it. And I've watched the first few seasons, obviously, of The Witcher so many times that I've kind of forgotten what happens at the end of the books, other than, like, obviously the main big points. I'm always down to reread it because there's always bits that you might have missed one time or that, you know, you just want to get back into. Now, The Witcher is probably like, The Witcher and The Vampire Diaries are like my comfort fantasy TV shows. And especially at the minute, I've been rewatching The Witcher for like all the time over the past few months. So I was like, I want to get back into the books again. Now I did have the whole Witcher series back at my parents' house, but one, I can't really get that easily, and two, they're in the loft, they're probably all dusty and I probably can't find them. And I think I did sell some of them, so it's a bit of a mess. My favourite books were the first two because Tissaia is one of my favourite characters. So I did pick up the first two books. I already had the two prequels, I already own them anyway. But yeah, I just wanted to pick up the two new ones. I don't normally like book covers that have the TV show on them, but I do actually just think these covers are quite cool, so it kind of makes up for it. But yes, it's Blood of Elves and Time of Contempt. So for some context, if you like the Witcher TV show and you've not read the books, I would so much urge you to do so. They are obviously a lot heavier because there's so much world building and there's so much, I mean, it's a sort of world where it's like, I struggle to even think that this isn't real. Like, it feels like this is just a whole other world that is real. Like, the way that he's made it so detailed and so good, it's just insane. So I would really, really urge you to try and give them a go. Like I said, read the two prequels first and see how you feel. Those are probably my favourites because they're the easiest to digest. But like I said, when you want a longer, more detailed, proper fantasy rather than a romantasy, these are amazing. And the last book that I picked up from Waterstones, which isn't a fantasy or anything, it's a contemporary, is Rouge by Mona Awad. Now, what is the one she's also done? Oh yeah, she's also written Bunny, which is a really popular book. I do kind of want to read that at some point, but this one appealed more to me, so I'll read this and see if I like her style. I struggle with contemporaries because sometimes they make me miserable. I don't know how to word it. I read to escape, I read to have fun, I read to, you know, be on a fun ride. And sometimes I find with contemporaries, especially certain contemporaries that are based around, for example, a young woman, sometimes they can be, I don't want to say depressing, but you know, they don't have a great feeling after I finish reading them. So I'm very careful with what contemporaries I pick up. This one might be on that same line, but I'm not sure, we'll see. For as long as she can remember, Belle has been obsessed with her skin and skincare videos. When her estranged mother mysteriously dies, Belle finds herself back in California, dealing with her mother's debts and grappling with lingering questions about her death. Okay, so straight away, it's a bit dark, but it's okay. The stakes escalate when a strange woman in red appears at the funeral, offering a tantalising clue about her mother's demise, followed by a cryptic video about a transformative spa experience. With the help of a pair of red shoes, Belle is lured into the barbed embrace of La Maison des Nedus, the same lavish, culty spa to which her mother was devoted. There, Belle discovers the frightening secret behind her and her mother's obsession with the mirror and the great shimmering depths and demons that lurk on the other side of the glass. With black humour and seductive horror, Rouge explores the cult-like nature of the beauty industry and the danger of internalising its pitiless gaze. Okay. So there's some real themes here of, yeah, the beauty industry, especially nowadays, it's crazy. So yeah, it kind of combines real life issues and things that are happening with this incredible story about this seemingly like cult-like spa, which I think is a really great idea. So yeah, I love the whole idea of it. Also, it's a gorgeous cover, and it just really intrigues me. However, this is a sort of book that, again, like some of the others, I'll have to be in a certain frame of mind to read it. And what I find with contemporaries is when I read too many fantasies and they're all kind of blurring into one, I like to pick up a contemporary, come back into this world and then go back again. So this will be my next contemporary read after a few fantasies or whatever. Then I picked up Throne of the Fallen, which I'm actually, as you can see, starting to read. I'm only 100 pages in. Like I said, in my next vlog, you will see me reading this. So this is by Kerry Maniscalco. She also wrote Kingdom of the Wicked, which I read and I didn't love. The storyline was okay, I just didn't love the female main character, and the male main character wasn't a fan. But the premise of the world was cool, this sort of idea of these different princes with different sins. So like there's a prince of envy, there's a prince of lust, there's a prince of wrath, whatever. This one is set in, this series is set in the same sort of world, in that this is about the Prince of Envy, of Kingdom of the Wicked was about Prince of Wrath, from what I remember. But a lot of people have said that they prefer this series. So I didn't have any issue with her writing in particular, I just didn't like her characters in that one. So far in this one, what I will say is that I'm loving the female and the male main characters. Well, particularly the male. I'm really loving the characters. So as much as I'm not as bothered about the plot, because I'm finding it's moving quite slowly. Yeah, I'm only 100 pages in, it is 500 pages, but it does feel fairly slow. I love the characters enough that I'm excited to read it. Let's tell you the blurb. So, the Prince of Envy has never claimed to be a saint, but when he is drawn out of his demon court and into a deadly game, he knows winning will take more than a hint of sin. Camilla never thought she would lose herself to desire, but then a desperate mistake leaves her no choice but to enter into a bargain with Envy and ignites a passion neither of them expect. Now they must journey through the underworld, from glittering demon courts to the sultry vampire realm and beyond, and avoid the most dangerous trap of all, falling in love. I mean, so this says it says a seductive standalone fantasy, so I presume that Throne of Secrets, which is the second one in the series, is maybe about another prince. So they're like standalones but in the same world and time. Anyway, so yeah, it's a classic enemies to lovers. At the minute, I'm at the point where they've basically met and they're just chatting, and he's trying to get her to do this painting for her that she doesn't want to do. That's kind of it. So I'm sure once it gets into that element of them traveling across the different worlds, it will be really fun. But at the minute, kind of bored, but I can see how it's going to get better, and the male main character has a filthy mouth that I'm finding quite funny. So yeah. And finally, I picked up paperback versions of Fourth Wing. Now this is going to annoy me because my hardbacks are at my parents' house, and obviously the third book comes out in literally, if you're seeing this video when it's posted, a few days. If you were seeing this after the 21st, then oh my god, I've already read it. Crazy. There will be a vlog of me reading the third Fourth Wing book, by the way. Don't worry. That will be done. But the paperbacks were like £5 and they're just a lot cheaper to store and like easier to store and to travel with and blah blah blah. So it's going to be a bit annoying that I have the hardback of the third one, but look, these came out pretty quickly after they were published, so I presume that the paperback will come out fairly quickly. They're very long. I am so excited for the third book. I feel like every video in the past few videos I've talked about it, but yes, don't worry. I think it might even be my next video will be a vlog of me reading it. It might be the next one. I can't remember, but yeah. So my plan is to read these in the meantime. By the time you're watching this, I probably will have reread these just to get myself back into it, because I remember the rough ideas of what happens, but it is quite hard with fantasies when a new one comes out. There are little things you miss. So yeah, I definitely need to catch up on it. Like I'm in all of the like, when I see people talking about it in groups and stuff, and they'll like talk about it, and I'm like, who is that? I've forgotten who that is. Like, I can't remember, you know, so. Very, very excited. I bought these when they were like £5 each, so I thought it was a really good deal, so. Oh, and I almost forgot, this series, this is the series that I bought that I was nervous about. But I've only really heard good things about this series. This is the This Woven Kingdom series. We have This Woven Kingdom, and these Infinite Threads, and All This Twisted Glory. I think that's the order of them. Yeah. I don't want to read the blurbs of the second two because normally that ends up spoiling the first one. But basically, I saw everyone talk about how great these were, and I saw a really good deal for these on TikTok Shop, so I just picked them up. So yeah, I'm a bit nervous that I won't like it, and then I've got the other two books, but at least the covers are gorgeous. So yeah, let's read This Woven Kingdom's blurb. So this is by Tara Maffey. Now, I haven't read the Shatter Me series, which is her like most famous series, and probably one of the most famous series online, like of any fantasy. I haven't read it yet just because it's so long. I just can't commit to it yet, and I also feel like it's going to be very love or hate. I'm either going to love it and want to read all of it in one go and be obsessed with it, or I'm just going to be like, meh. So I need to pick a time. To all the world, Alize is a disposable servant. Never to be known for who she really is, the long-lost heir to an ancient Jinn kingdom. She is hunted always, forced to hide in plain sight lest she expose herself to danger, until one day she makes a mistake. I've read a few books recently, and I won't name them because I feel like it will spoil them, but I've read a few books recently where the main character turns out to be a long-lost heir to the kingdom, and you realise that they're pretending to be this poor person or whatever. At least this one says it outright. But yeah, I've read a few of those recently, and I do kind of like that trope and the idea, to be honest. The Crown Prince, Cameron, has heard the prophecies. He knows of the fearsome monster promised to kill his king. Darkness is fast descending upon his empire, driving Cameron to desperately seek out its source. But as he grows ever more suspicious of the servant girl with the strange eyes, the more he learns about her, and the harder it is to turn away, even if falling for someone like Eliza means forfeiting everything he's ever known. So we've got a story of clashing empires, forbidden romance, and a long-forgotten queen who must claw her way through darkness to reclaim her throne, rebuild her kingdom, and save her people from the half-lives they've been forced to live. So we've got great political intrigue, we've got a romance that isn't like enemies to lovers, it's forbidden romance, which is slightly different, and I do like that. So yeah, I'm very excited. And these are really gorgeous anyway, so I'm excited, if I do like it, to keep them on my shelves. I now have a huge pile here of books on the floor, but I hope that you enjoyed. Please let me know if you've read any of those. Obviously no spoilers, please, but just let me know if you liked any of them, if any you're also interested to buy. And yes, thank you very much for watching. I actually now have £20 worth of vouchers on my Waterstones card, so I should have waited and gone back and got 2 more books, but I'm going to leave it a little bit, okay? I love loads of time to read all of these now. But yes, thank you so much for watching. Please check out my TikTok, by the way. I started a completely new one, so it's very low on followers and stuff, which is fine. But yeah, I post every day on there, so you will see the vlog of me going shopping for this, and I'll post mini versions of the hauls on there too. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. I will see you very soon. I'm very excited for Onyx Storm. If you're excited too, please let me know. And yeah, I'll see you later. Bye.